In our modern world, our brains are being rewired and manipulated at a rate like never before. Social media, once an online tool for keeping up to date with our peers, has become a marketplace for attention. Each swipe, click, and notification, while seemingly harmless, is part of a calculated system engineered to exploit the ancient circuitry that once helped us survive. And while this manipulation of our neural pathways may seem new in the age of social media, its blueprints were drawn decades ago, not by technology companies, but by casinos, with the invention and evolution of the slot machine. So how did we end up here? How did our survival instincts, once used to hunt, gather, and endure, become the perfect tools for an attention economy? And just how are social media companies using the model of the casino to keep us hooked into the endless scroll? In 1998, neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz conducted a study on the reward system of monkeys. The experiment went like this. First, a light would flash. This was the cue. Then, moments later, a drop of sweet juice would appear. This was the reward for the monkey. When the juice arrived, the monkey's brains released dopamine, the neurotransmitter which, at the time, was believed to create pleasure. But what Schultz saw next would challenge that idea forever. Over time, they learned to predict the pattern of light and juice, and remarkably, the dopamine surge shifted back in time. No longer did the dopamine response occur when the juice arrived, but at the moment the light appeared. Thus it was concluded that their brains did not respond to the reward itself, but to the possibility of it. But what does this have to do with casinos, or for that matter, TikTok? That comes from one final astonishing finding.
Important thing with the dopamine is the prediction. If that reward is better than you think, for example, you buy it in a piece of birthday cake, and it's so much better than anything you had expected, that drives the dopamine neurons nuts. If that birthday cake is much less, or your nasty brother has put some vinegar into your birthday cake, you get a huge dopamine depression.
The uncertainty around the outcome made the brain light up even more. Further still, when an expected reward failed to arrive, dopamine activity didn't just fade, it dropped to below baseline. The brain registered not calm, but disappointment, a craving to correct the mistake, to try again. For millions of years of evolution, uncertainty was useful. Our ancestors never knew when the next hunt would succeed, or when a fruit tree would bear fruit again. Those who felt a surge of motivation in the face of unpredictability and adversity, who felt driven to try one more time, were the ones who found food, who adapted, and who survived. We didn't evolve to love comfort or certainty. We evolved to chase possibility. And when a reward eluded us, to keep on chasing, even for what we might never catch. Decades before Wolfram Schultz conducted his study on dopamine, another experiment in human behavior was already underway. Vegas, 1960s, a city built on chance. But beneath the glamour, something deeper was unfolding. The slot machine, born in the 1890s from the workshop of Charles Fay, had started life as a simple mechanical novelty. 3 reels, 6 symbols, and an automatic 50-cent payout if you won. 70 years later, however, its evolution into something far more calculated had begun. This is Bally's Money Honey. Released in 1964, it was the first electromechanical slot machine, replacing the gears and springs that had once controlled the reel's spin and payout timing, with electric motors, relays, and circuitry. For the first time, the motion of the reels and the flow of the coins were governed by electricity rather than clockwork. Its automatic hopper could deliver hundreds of coins at once, and crucially, it could make people play faster, for longer, and without pause. And for the first time, engineers could fine-tune not just how the machine looked, but how it felt to play. In her book, Addiction by Design, cultural anthropologist Natasha Dow-Schull describes gaming productivity as the wagering action per person per session. Casinos, she explains, sought to maximize this metric through a process known as expedition, accelerating play, extending its duration, and increasing expenditure. It was no longer solely about winning, but about keeping the player in motion.
Excuse me, ma'am, don't you think you've gabbled enough?
No.
Okay, we're required by law to ask every 75 hours. Get another free drink.
Over the following decades, the industry redefined the slot machine. The games grew brighter, louder, and smoother. Reels spun faster, and credits replaced coins, removing the pause between bets. Ergonomic cabinets cradled players in comfort, while microprocessors quietly controlled every spin, win, and near miss with mathematical precision. Each innovation shaved away friction, refining the experience into one continuous, carefully tuned flow of anticipation and reward. This was the birth of engineered engagement, a philosophy that would soon extend far beyond the casino floor.
I'm the hapless human being that invented infinite scroll. So this was back in 2006. You remember when Google Maps first came out and suddenly you could scroll on this MapQuest before you had to click a whole bunch to move the map around? Yeah. So that new technology had come out that you could reload, you could get new content in without having to reload the whole page. And I was sitting there thinking about blog posts and thinking about search, and it's well, every time I, as a designer, ask you, the user, to make a choice you don't care about or click something you don't need to, I've failed. So obviously, if I get near the bottom of the page, I should just load some more search results or load the next blog post. And I'm this is just a better interface.
That was Asa Raskin, co-founder of the Center for Humane Technology and inventor of Infinite Scroll. The simple design choice to replace the next page button and remove friction in how people browsed. Just as electromechanical control marked the beginning of a series of evolutions to remove the natural pause from the slot machine, Infinite Scroll was a comparable landmark in the world of social media. In 2009, Lauren Brichter introduced a new feature now ubiquitous across social media platforms to his app, Tweety, a fan-favorite Twitter client designed to feel sleeker and more intuitive than Twitter's own software. The feature in question, pull to refresh, the physical act of pulling down, waiting, and releasing mimics the satisfaction of a slot machine lever, providing a tangible ritual that promised that maybe this time brought something new. Notifications, too, borrowed more than a few tricks from Vegas, no longer just alerting users to a message. These cues now came with bright red badges and intermittent pings, perfectly echoing the sensory tactics slot machines had used for decades. Vivid color, sharp sound, and unpredictability, each one delivering a tiny burst of anticipation. And several years later, the next stage of evolution arrived.
TikTok.
TikTok's inception marked a seismic shift in the progression of the attention economy, not because of its dances or trends, but because of what powered it underneath: engagement algorithms. These systems didn't just show you posts from people you chose to follow, but learned, moment by moment, what would keep you watching. Each second the world spends scrolling, clicking, or posting feeds it data. And this didn't necessarily mean showing you what you liked. TikTok optimized for something far more potent: the time you spent engaged. Every pause, every swipe, every subtle hesitation from one video to the next became a signal, a data point to refine what you would see in the future. It was the purest form of variable reward ever deployed at scale. And it worked, accelerating play by eliminating choice and loading the next video instantly, extending duration through infinite scroll and unpredictable hits of novelty, not unlike the drops of juice that kept Schultz's monkeys eagerly awaiting the next flash of the light bulb. And finally, increasing expenditure with seamlessly integrated ads, the final step in monetizing attention. For all the engineering and optimization built to keep us scrolling a little longer, none of this begins with technology. It begins with us. The circuits these systems exploit are ancient and helped our ancestors survive by keeping them hunting, exploring, and learning. Schultz saw these impulses in the flicker of a light bulb. The casinos weaponized them, and the digital age scaled this to billions. But the same brain that is shaped by these loops is also capable of stepping outside them. And when you understand how these systems work, you can introduce changes that weaken their hold, reintroduce the friction that apps so desperately strive to remove, delete them from your home screen, turn off notifications, and use web browser versions instead of scroll-optimized apps. Use social media with intention. Set defined times to check in, rather than letting every idle moment become an invitation to scroll. And finally, redirect the reward system, replacing digital uncertainty with real forms of satisfaction, exercise, hobbies, and face-to-face conversations. Attention may be the currency of the modern world, but it is still ours to spend.